Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing this Western Peekaboo tumbler with mica powders. Hi, my name is Christy and I'm the owner and creator of Lulu Ladybug Creations. Y'all be sure to follow me on my other social media pages across all 3 platforms at Lulu Ladybug Creations. And I hope you enjoy the beauty of handmade. All right, so today we're going to be working with a 30-ounce skinny straight tumbler with a twist top lid. And what I'm doing here is I'm removing that little metal plate that's at the bottom. You don't necessarily have to, but I always like to. We're going to scuff it down really good with this 120 grit sanding block that I got from Amazon. And what we're doing here is we are just taking off the shine. Now that I have this vinyl, I got it from Slide Hustle on Etsy. And it's one that he already has pre-cut in the V shape. So we're going to get this added to the top of the tumbler, making sure that we have it evenly and without bubbles. Now, I don't know what I was doing with that tape, but that tape was just managing to get in my way. I really didn't even need to put it where I put it. But anyways, we're going to make sure that we don't get no air bubbles. Now, if you do get air bubbles underneath your vinyl, then what you want to do is go back in with your weeding pen and just poke a tiny hole and squeeze that little air out. So now that we have our vinyls, we're going to tape it off. And we'll see what I did here. I'm trimming off the edge of the vinyl because it did kind of look unbalanced. So that's I'm just trimming a little bit, not even much, just enough for it to look even. All right, so now we're going to go in with our painter's tape, and we are going to cover up this vinyl completely. Now, you want to make sure that when you're laying down your painter's tape, that you don't have it's not lifted or anything anywhere, because what that is doing, it's going to protect the vinyl, because we're going to go in and spray paint that stainless steel portion of the tumbler. So we don't want to get no spray paint or nor overspray on the vinyl. So we're going to make sure we cover it up very well with the painter's tape, trim off any edges that we need to, and then we'll take it back outside and we'll get it spray painted. Now I'm going to use a thicker painter's tape for the inside portion. That way I just don't use so much of that 1-inch tape. And I believe this is a 2-inch painter's tape. So yeah, we'll get it covered up with the painter's tape, making sure that it's laid down pretty flat so that we don't get no paint. Now I took it outside and I spray painted with a skinny dip from Color Shot. Now what we're going to do, I did let it dry. I let it dry for about maybe an hour. You want to make sure the paint is completely dry before you go back in with your Mod Podge. We're going to use Mod Podge to apply our glitter. And when you kind of want to work fast with Mod Podge because Mod Podge dries pretty quickly. Now what I'm doing here is I'm making sure that I have even strokes, because you'll be able to tell if you have any lumps or bumps in the Mod Podge, you'll be able to see it under the glitter. Now we're going to use amber. This is an amber, real pretty color that I got at Michael's. And we're going to cover this entire portion of the cup with this amber. Now, I didn't have to put the vinyl down first. What I could have done was painted the entire tumbler and glittered it all before, and then placed a coat of epoxy, and then went back in to put my vinyl down. But I just felt like I didn't feel like wasting glitter today. So that's why I went ahead and placed my vinyl first, lay down my glitter. Now that the glitter has dried for about 2 hours, I'm going to take off this painter's tape, and we are going to, what was it that we're doing? We're going to make sure it, goodness gracious. Okay, got tongue tied there for a minute. We're going to spray it with RustOleum clear spray paint just to keep that glitter in place, because I'm going to put epoxy. And I don't want that glitter to run up into the vinyl. Okay, so now that the epoxy has dried overnight, we're going to go in, and I did cut out all these little floral stencils on my Cricut machine, and I use stencil vinyl, and we're going to place these flowers just randomly over the glitter portion of the tumbler. Now, I didn't place them in any order or anything. I just randomly placed them all over the tumbler, and I'm not trying to put it in a neat manner or anything like that. I just wanted that portion to be, that would be the peekaboo part. Everywhere I place the stencil is where you'll see the glitter once I paint over it. Now we'll get all these flowers added, and then we'll take it back outside, and we will spray paint it. So here it is, right before I spray painted it. And you want to make sure that all your stencils are laid down really, really flat. Now I do tape off the top portion because, again, I don't want spray paint to get on my vinyl. Even though there's already a coat of epoxy over that vinyl, you still don't want to have to do the work to take off that spray paint from that portion of the tumbler. Okay, so again, make sure you have your painter's tape laid down really well, because you don't want the next coat of the next coat of spray paint to seep underneath that painter's tape and get onto your vinyl. So again, we're going in with our 1-inch painter's tape, and then in the middle portion, we're going in with our 2-inch painter's tape and taking it outside and painting it again with Skinny Dip from Color Shop, letting it dry for about an hour. Now what we're going to do is we're going to paint this portion of the tumbler with Tack It Over and Over. Now, if y'all know Tack It Over and Over, when it dries, it stays really tacky. Again, making sure it's laid down really well with no bumps or, clumps of the glue, the Tack It. And we're going to let it dry till it runs clear. Once it runs clear, it's dry, but it's still tacky. And we're going to go in with these mica powders. Now, these mica powders I got from Amazon, and it comes like with 100 different colors. And this one is teal. So we're going to get a makeup brush, and we're just going to go over all that Tack It, painting the tumbler with that powder, with the mica powder. Now it is going to leave it's going to skip a little bit because, of course, it's tacky and the brush is dry. So you might have to go over this portion twice. That way you make sure you have even coverage of that mica powder. Now I could have added the mica powder to epoxy and then added it to that portion of the tumbler, but I didn't want to make the cup any heavier than it was already going to be with the layers of epoxy that I had on it already. Okay, so now that the mica powder is all placed on, excuse my dog. My dogs, the mailman must be passing by. So we're going to get all this painter's tape off and then go in and start lifting up all that stencil. So now we're going to take our weeding pen, and we're going to get all these stencils lifted up. Now you want to be very careful not to scratch your mica powder portion with that weeding pen, because if it'll be really noticeable if you leave a scratch mark. After we get all this lifted up, being very careful that you don't leave, because these floral images were cut very thin. So you want to make sure that you don't miss any of the vinyl that you're lifting up, the stencil vinyl. Then we're going to go in after it's all lifted up, and we are going to add a coat of epoxy. Looks really, really pretty, that amber shining through. Okay, so now that we have our very thin coat of epoxy, again, you want to put it really thin because we're going to go back in once again with another coat after this. And you don't want the cup heavy. Epoxy, of course, like you know, makes cups heavy. So make them really thin before you go in. All your previous coats before the final coat of epoxy, make sure they're really thin, as thin as you can lay it down on the tumbler. All right, so we're gonna lay down my my little logo and weed it out. I like to weed out the logo once it's on the tumbler because it's really, really thin. It's a really small image. So we're going to get that on. Then we're going to place our washi tape. Now, these washi tapes I got from Michael's. I don't know that I linked them down in the description below, but I did get them at Michael's. This one's like a rose gold. They're like metallic, like foils. So yeah, we're going to get this rose gold. I have a rose gold and I have a really, really pretty brown that will go over this one. And then our final one will go underneath the two. Now you want to trim off your edges really well. I didn't go over the top with washi tape. I was leaving that as is. At least I don't think I did. Goodness gracious. But yeah, make sure you get your washi tape placed on evenly, trim off the edges, go in with your next color, and make sure you're using a sharp blade. Make sure you have a sharp blade on your knife because this one on the green knife was really dull and I was having trouble cutting my washi tape. And if you know, washi tape's really thin, so you shouldn't have trouble cutting it. All right, so we're going to get, this is that real pretty brown that's going to go over that one we just placed. And then now we're going to go in with our really, really pretty bronze color. This one is going to go right underneath the two washi tapes that we just placed. Again, making sure that you line it up really, really straight from the top washi tape, cutting off your edges, making sure your tape is even. And once we get all this washi tape on, we're going to go in with a decal, a little quote that I cut out. So washi tape isn't very thick, but this knife, like I said, was really dull. So I was having to get this orange one. This one was a newer knife to cut off those edges trim off the edges from the washi tape. It's really important that you use a sharp blade, but at the same time, be careful that you don't cut yourself. Oh, my dogs are really going to give this video some attention. Okay, so here's this quote. It says, "Live like someone left the gate open." Now I'm going to put some transfer tape over it, and we're going to get it placed on the tumbler. Now, in order to make sure I put it on straight, we're going to use this little, well, of course, after I trim off the edges really well, we're going to use some, what is that? Goodness gracious. Parchment paper. And the reason why I'm trimming off really good is because I want to make sure that I can see the edges really well and place it on the tumbler as evenly as possible. Now this little quote, I got it from Creative Fabrica, and I do have that linked in the description below, as well as the flowers. I believe I got from Creative Fabrica as well. If I didn't get them from Creative Fabrica, well, the quote I know for sure I got from Creative Fabrica. Flowers, I don't know if I got them from Creative Fabrica or from Cricut Design Space. But we're going to use this parchment paper so that in case I don't lay it down right or straight, it'll be easy just to lift up that little portion of the decal rather than having to lay it all down and then realizing at the end that it's crooked. So that's a little trick right there to use. Since the parchment paper doesn't stick to your vinyl, we'll use this squeegee to make sure that that vinyl is laid down really, really well. Because once again, if it's not laid down really well, it'll lift with the epoxy. The epoxy will get under it, and then you're going to have a really bumpy logo. I mean, a little quote. All right, so what I did was I placed epoxy on the tumbler, and while it's curing, we're going to use champagne rhinestones and light green rhinestones in 3 millimeters each. And we're just going to place them on the top of the lid using that B7000 and a wax pen. Now, I'm going to do a straight line around the inside portion of the cap. Now, what I didn't do is I didn't sand it down, the top of the lid. You want to make sure you sand it down. That way you don't have no issues with any of that glue lifting up. I didn't, normally I paint the lid and place rhinestones over the sides and everything, but this time around I was just going to place the rhinestones down in the center portion of that lid. Now we're going to go with a straight line with champagne rhinestones, 3 millimeter rhinestones, all around the edge. And then we'll go around the middle portion of the straw hole with the same straight line. Now, I was taking my time to place these rhinestones on the lid, but of course, I'm going to speed up the video because it took, if you know, placing rhinestones take a really long time because you want to make sure you get them straight and even. Our second row is going to be a straight line of the light green rhinestones. And again, it's 3 millimeters. And I don't know if that's SS 16 or SS 20s. I don't know. And I can't even remember if I placed the link to these rhinestones down in the description, but I believe I got them on Amazon. Okay, so now that we get our straight line of our light green, we're going to go back in with our champagne rhinestones. At this point, I think after this point, I started putting them in the scatter method. Now, I thought I went in around the straw hole before I started doing these other two colors, these other two lines, but this is where I start doing the scatter method. And no, I didn't go around the straw hole like I thought I did, but we did, 3 straight lines of the rhinestones. Then at this portion of the tumbler top, we went in and started placing them in the scatter method. Okay, so when this is complete, we'll set it aside to dry, and this cup is done. This cup is pretty much done. The lid was simple, but it looks really, really pretty. And yeah, here's the finished photo. I love that cow skull or the bullhead skull. Lived like someone left the gate open. The vinyl was really, really pretty. And that mica powder shined really, really pretty underneath that epoxy. And you'll see the shimmer of that mica powder here. See, it's really, really pretty. I really do love this cup. Maybe I should have put some more rhinestones around the edges of the lid, but I think this was good enough. So yeah, this is it. This is the final completed tumbler. That amber through the Peekaboo is really, really pretty against that teal mica powder. So yeah, this cup is done. And I really do hope y'all enjoyed watching this tutorial as much as I enjoyed creating it. Please leave your comments below. And if y'all have any suggestions, leave them there too. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. And also follow me on go check out my Patreon. It's brand new, so I don't have much on there. But I really want to thank y'all for watching this video. And please stay till the end to watch these other videos. Thanks. Bye.